Now I was sitting at uh, the stone on at the lost city, and I was just looking at the sky and like the house that was beside it, and like the whole area of like the ruins all over. And I was just thinking about how um if I was in Singapore like at that moment, I won't be thinking of a place like this in my mind, because it it always seems so otherworldly. Like you look at it on the news, and this is happening to other people, that is happening to other people, earthquakes, and like houses are destroyed, like other people that um is not ourselves. So it's difficult to be able to empathize with them. I think throughout the whole trip, ever since the beginning until now, even now, I still had trouble with,
Completely being empathetic.
yeah, or being empathetic at all to these people, because we always say that we have to put ourselves in their perspective and stuff, but
But we can't.
we don't fully realize um what putting ourselves in their perspective means or entails, because there's so many things, there's like a there's so many background information or experiences that they went through that we cannot even begin to imagine or understand, because we live in such a
Protected country.
advanced and fast society. They're still protected by all the other countries around us, and um so it's not fair it's not fair to these people when we say we understand, or
Yeah.
we know what they feel or what they've been through, because I
We
think honestly we
don't.
truly don't, or like people, like I don't at all. Even now I don't think I can. And another thing is that after looking at all the data like we collected from all the general interviews that we did for Pak Dadik, um I was just wondering, like, these interviews, there's so many things that can go wrong with these interviews. There's so many errors that can possibly happen. Like we can be taking down the wrong things, and translation is another problem. So I was thinking that like all these errors, if like the propagation of all the errors is like can possibly be very large,
I mean, if you look at it
especially
in
in
a
like
totally scientific way, right, we are just accumulating loads and loads of errors, and our error bar is like huge.
especially in because it's not like um a tick the box survey, so it's not very quantitative, and it's qualitative, like analysis. So there's so many things that can possibly go wrong, and so I think it's quite difficult to be able to be sure that our findings and our analysis is like
Gonna help.
80%
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
I keep wondering if a tick the box survey would have been better.
But we'll definitely lose some
Stories,
essence and
yeah.
sophistication in that, yeah. But translation is another problem, because until yesterday or today, I didn't actually realize how big a problem translation is. Like so many things are lost in translation. Like um there are so many like there's so many
Subtleties, I think.
qualities and like qualities and sophistication in a language that are absent in others. And so when you try to translate that, you lose the whole idea of it in your head, or you capture the same idea but in different words, and then it's put in a totally different context, or when you take it out of context, you lose so many important um ideas that come along with
that word. Like,
with that
different
word.
meanings that are attached to one word that we can so easily understand in English and they can so easily understand in Bahasa.
It's different.
But we just can't understand each other.
The context of words are completely different.
Mm.
And especially when you try to summarize it and put it into words of a different language, um it's completely different. Like, because for example, I understand um a bit of Malay, for example, but I only know I only know certain words that um come with direct meaning, but like in a language, especially there's languages that are very beautiful, and there's so many like motifs and images and culturally
Specific.
culturally specific ideas that exist in a language.
Like the whole idea of cultural relativism that we
Mm.
kind of talk about in
Like
Nando.
food, language
Yeah.
is also a reflection of a culture.
There is so much. I mean, you can only understand a culture truly after living in it for a while. Once you grow with the culture, you get the culture, as opposed to being like an outsider in a culture and you attempt to understand it. Because really, when you look at it from the culture is a fishbowl and you're just on the outside, you will never get it. And especially without the language, because the language is what makes you. It allows you to interact with people who are within that culture, within that community. And if you can't do it yourself, then it's almost like you really don't know what's happening, and it just stops you from understanding completely what you could possibly understand if we knew Bahasa Indonesia. And I faced the same problem in my OSL. I mean, Nabil was the only person who could talk to them. And I mean, like, even though emotions and say body language does explain a lot, right? In a conservative society, there's only so much you can like express in different ways. So it comes down to whether or not you're able to talk to them and to get information out of them that will add value to the whole idea. So I guess so far, like, I mean, the project has been going quite well. Like, I guess we do have information. It's just, I don't know, you kind of feel a bit, you don't know like how much of it is going to be um accurate, like Kelly said, and how much of it is actually going to like make sense to another person, especially after we try to translate it back to a proper document, a proper form for submission to Park that ache, you know. So it's a bit hard to do.
So that's all we observed for today's interviews. And
Later we went for dinner.
I learned the sam sam
Sampa.
saman dance.
There's something
I learned the
they
saman dance.
only the day theater students can do it.
And
Nobody else has learned it yet.
and the Archinese clap hand thing. I learned that. I don't know, maybe I'll teach you that tomorrow or something. And the stone game that
The stone game is so fun.
Yeah.
Speaking of the stone game, right, I was really, even today, like when Bevin was attempting to catch a queenie. Oh my god, no, 8% battery. Anyway, Bevin was attempting to catch the queenies. It kind of reminded me of how their culture is so is situated in a location where they don't really get that many technological things to play with. So
I
like,
was so amazed, by
yeah,
I was having so much fun just like
throwing
I actually sat
stones
there for
in
half
the
an hour
air.
throwing stones, catching stones and throwing stones, and doing a saman dance with the Chinese youth.
Yeah, it's just like the simple things in life can really,
Yeah.
really bring you so much joy.
And going around looking for queenies.
Queenies.
It was so much fun, even though the Ibu people were tricking us.
No, that was just Bevin and Kelly. The rest of us knew what was going on. And plus, right, it kind of reminded me of my youth, my childhood. I'm not youth. My childhood. Like, I used to play with shells and everything every time I went to India. You just throw the shells and you hit and marble games and stone games. So basically, anything that you can find on the ground used to make things on the ground that you can play with. It's really games like that that kind of show how people always find a way to find entertainment as well, and find joy in playing with each other.
We went to Park Dadik's house for dinner, and I don't know. I felt very honored to be there because he used to be the mayor or something like that, and like after what happened to Mr. Melhan and Bevin and all at the market today, like they said they were guests of Park Dadik, and people were just like shaking their hands and everything.
Wow.
And I was just quite honored because after looking at his house,
Do you remember Sharjah?
his house was amazing.
It
It's
was
okay.
so pretty.
But I don't know, after looking at his house and like all the houses in that area, I was wondering like there's so many people that
Need the help.
that live in like um
No, but you know the insides of his
like
house?
yeah, they're like self-constructed houses with like wooden planks, but I don't know, it just kind of occurred to me the thought. Yeah.
No, but like the inside of his house was also very simple. I mean, if you compare it to things in Singapore, right, it
Yeah.
was really, really very simple. Like the bathroom is exactly the same as ours,
Oh, okay.
except like there's a bucket for them to wash clothes with
Oh, yeah.
and like soap and
Oh,
stuff.
I didn't go in though.
Yeah, I went to the bathroom.